सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Welcome and Happy New Year. We are very happy to greet you all on this New Year day of the year 2021. Our Puji Swami used to say, ring out the earlier year, ring in the new year. The year 2020 has not been a particularly happy or comfortable year. This pandemic which has taken hold of the entire world, and so much so the United States also, has affected every aspect of life. Has affected the economy, of course, the health. Millions of people have fallen sick. Hundreds of thousands have died. People lost their jobs, their savings. They have been confined to their homes. And so, naturally, many emotional problems also arise. It has been a very difficult year. And unhappiness, sadness generally has prevailed. People will try to revolt against that and declare that freedom doesn't matter what Corona does, but then that has not helped us. Corona is Corona, and therefore if you take liberty with that, it will strike you. So we become helpless. There is an environment of sadness, suffering and sadness all around. Even if we are not stuck with Corona, we are still unhappy in this environment. Thank God that 2020 is over. And the new year is beginning with a vaccine, with all the hope that in course of time we'll be able to overcome this pandemic and resume our normal life. We'll again be able to acquire our happiness as before. So here, this gives an opportunity to dwell upon this happiness or grief, which is what we experience during the last year. This is the central message of Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna concludes the Gita by saying, Ma Shuchah, do not grieve. These are the last words of the teaching of Lord Krishna, and of course, the teaching of 17 chapters has preceded. But essentially, Lord Krishna has taught us that the cause of grief lies within ourselves. And then every situation also becomes a problem. A grieving mind converts a situation into a problem. And that's how Bhagavad Gita begins with Arjuna, with a grieving mind. Of course, the situation before him was most challenging, but Lord Krishna said, Ashochan, and even that situation also doesn't have to cause grief. If you have the inner strength, then a situation does not have to cause grief. That's what the Bhagavad Gita says. That does not mean that Lord Krishna is insensitive to the challenges of life. Insensitive to pain that is situation's cause, Lord Krishna is not insensitive to that. But still Lord Krishna teaches that it is possible for us to become free from grief, to remain free from grief. Grief is the result of our inner weakness. Kshudram hrid daurvalyam tyakto tishta parantapa, Lord Krishna says. Kutastva kashmalimidam vishame samupasthitam. In this trying, challenging situation, what has brought about this weakness of a mind? Hey Parantapa, hey Arjuna, it does not behoove of you to grieve like this. Hrudaya daurvalyam, the weakness of the heart. When the heart becomes weak, then situations become much more challenging or much more frightening than what they are. Meaning that in the grief that we are all feeling, the situation of course has to contribute, no doubt about that. But then we also have something to contribute. And that is Hrudaya daurvalyam, the weakness of the heart. Human being has become weak. Why is it so? Because of his wrong perception of life. The perception today is more the merrier. More we consume, happier we are. That is a formula. Whenever people are all consuming oriented, they want more and more, they want to enjoy more and more, experience more and more, have more and more excitement. More food, more clothing, more traveling, more of everything. With a false understanding that that gives you more happiness. And this whole consumer attitude of the humanity, I would have to make a statement that even this pandemic also is one of the outcomes of that. The whole global warming is the outcome of our consumption. When these conferences take place, the last one took place in Paris, where people want the technology to solve that problem, they do not want to change. This global warming, for example, requires us to change our whole philosophy of life, change the whole lifestyle, transform ourselves from consumers, minimize consumption. It says more consumption, more global warming, more damage to the environment and to ourselves. And I'm afraid that even this pandemic, the way it has become a pandemic, there also we have something to contribute. The globalization, nothing wrong with globalization, but consumption, which demands globalization. You want less and less expensive things, you want more and more things, and therefore goods have to transport from one end to the other, and people have to transport. So much movement is there. Millions of people are moving from one place to the other, and so this disease also, this virus also is moving fast. And so, I remember that the Florida was affected by this coronavirus. But people continue to travel from Florida all over the United States and they spread everywhere. This we will not give up. Face mask we will not wear. Social distancing we will not keep. Gatherings we will not give up. Festivals we will celebrate. And this virus acts in its own way, and we have to pay for it. So this craze about freedom, the so-called freedom, of doing what I want to do, what I like to do, not necessarily what is right to do. So more and more consumption requires to do more and more what I like and a compromise of what is right. This is the world trend. And all of that has contributed to even the spread of this pandemic, the rate at which it has spread and continues to spread. So all of these things demand that we have to bring about some fundamental change in ourselves as human beings. This whole conclusion that more the consumption, more happiness is there. More consumption, more prosperity is there. This is a wrong conclusion. Because that conclusion is based on the notion that happiness has to come from outside. Help has to come from outside. Help must come from government. Help must come from elsewhere. Well, it will come. But we also have to help ourselves by reducing the consumption, by our commitment to the moral values, by our commitment to our responsibility. As an immediate solution, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Karmanye vadikaraste mahaphaleshu kadachana. Hey Arjuna, you are seeking gratification from karma phala, and therefore you do not have value for karma. Karma for you has simply become a means of producing karma phala. And karma phala is for gratification. So your life has become a means of seeking gratification. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Hey Arjuna, you get your gratification from karma, not from karma phala. Seek your gratification from your effort, which is with right attitude and values, which is conducive to discovering happiness from yourself. So Lord Krishna wants to shift the motivation from karma phala to karma. The motivation of karma phala is based on the assumption that karma phala has to give me happiness. Happiness or satisfaction has to come from outside. Whereas commitment to karma means to the right values, right attitudes, become a contributor rather than a consumer, is conducive to discovering happiness from within. One keeps me a beggar, always seeking favor, always seeking the world to do something for me. The government should give me this should give me that. Always asking, seeking, begging. Lord Krishna says, no, the world will give you. It is not that world will not give you. World will give you what you need, not necessarily what you want. But world will give you what you need, provided you perform an action. You live your life in harmony with the fundamental law of the world, which is a law of responsibility, which is a law of contribution, which is a law of making an offering. Look at the universe of Arjuna. All elements of nature are all designed to contribute, to support each other, not to exploit each other. In the nature, the strong does not exploit the weak. Everything helps everything else. Human being, the strong one, wants to exploit the weak. He wants to be happy at the cost of someone else. This cannot go on forever. Someday we have to pay the price. And we are paying price in terms of global warming. We are paying price in terms of this pandemic. Now, this is a philosophical reason for pandemic. Of course, I know the government was planning or should plan for addressing pandemic as far as the healthcare system and things are concerned. There is no alternative there. But merely external means cannot be the solution. We have to contribute from within ourselves. External thing can give me, but if I have an infinite demand, nothing can satisfy me. Therefore, I have to become free from demand. I will discover that what I am seeking is from myself. Then I will become a contributor. First become contributor, then you will discover what you are seeking from within yourself. Master, Lord Krishna says, just change your attitudes, change your values, change your perception of life, change your perception of yourself. You're not a helpless creature. You're not a grieving person. Within you there is limitlessness. There is wholeness, completeness, which is for you to tap into. So make your life a process of tapping into your own happiness, your own fulfillment, your own wholeness, completeness, which is there right in you. You are that. If you adopted a way of life where you're always seeking fullness from outside, then you are only not only ignoring yourself, you are insulting yourself, you are abusing yourself. Yekecha atmahano janaha, Upanishad calls them atmahana, those who are hurting themselves, destroying themselves. So if human being is leading a life of self-destruction, otherwise very clever, very intelligent, very smart as far as worldly things are concerned, but very stupid as far as the spiritual basic laws are concerned. So Lord Krishna is asking us to develop harmony with the fundamental order, which will enable us to discover that strength, that happiness from within ourselves, such that even in the externally very challenging situations also, we can maintain a balance of mind. We can do then also what is right to do. And thus the impact. Right now we cannot change the situation. It is there. And we need the vaccine. We need external things to help us. But that cannot be a permanent solution. Permanent solutions should come from within ourselves. Mahashucha, don't grieve. There is no reason for you to grieve, Lord Krishna says. You have enough within yourself to overcome that grief and become established in peace and happiness. With this message of hope, of peace and happiness, we begin our new year 2021. Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.